Hello students, I'm here with another video from the chapter of class 10th Science NCERT book. Before starting today's video, I would like to tell you all that till now what all things we have discussed in this chapter. So children, we have started this chapter by understanding the word, what is the meaning of the word life process, which tells us, which has already explained that it means it is a process which is required for any organism, any plant as well as the animal organism to live its own life. So life processes could include the processes, the functions which is required by each and every organism, whether it is plant or it is an animal. To live its life, it requires to perform certain functions. The function includes the nutrition, where we have seen about the types of nutrition in the plants as well as in the animals. Then after that, after the first life process, that was this nutrition, and after that we have studied about the second type of the nutrition, that is about respiration. So in respiration we came to know that the food which we are taking in, by the process of nutrition we are gaining energy. How that food is going to give us energy, how that energy is going to be moved from one place to another place, because energy is made at one place and it has to be transported in the complete body parts. How the food is going to give rise to the different forms of energy to the different parts of the body. Okay, in different animals the process of respiration is different, we have already studied. Okay, then after that we are studying about the third life process, that is transportation. So I have completed about the transportation in plants, because of which the transportation is taking place in the plants by the various processes, like by the various parts, which includes the stomata, which includes the transpirational pull theory, because of which what happens, the water is going to move from the root system to the shoot system and to all the parts of the body, because of which what happens, it is going to distribute the energy, it is going to distribute the all important nutrients. It includes the substances, it includes the manures, pesticides, insecticides, and even the food which is being present in the leaf part is going to be transported to all the different parts of the body of the plant. Okay, then we were discussing about, we have just started this topic, the transportation in animals. So here children, in transportation in animals we have to study about the two systems, two organ system which is responsible for the transportation in the animals. Okay, so if animal is the smaller animal or it is a lower animal, like amoeba, like paramecium, like earthworm, frog, okay, so they have different modes of transportation in them. Okay, even in the human beings, we have to study about the human beings. So we will study about the human circulatory system. Okay, so there is one transportation system in the body of the animals, in the body of the human beings, that is the circulatory system. Okay, in the circulatory system we have different organs and the blood vessels. And the vessels, we can say. Okay, now the organs include the heart, and also it includes the lymphatic system. Two systems we have to study. One is the circulatory system and the other one is the lymphatic system. So this circulatory system includes heart, blood vessels and the blood. Similarly here it includes lymphatic system, includes lymph vessels and lymph nodes. Okay, lymphatic organs are also there in some. So all these are including the transportation, all these are included in human transportation system. Okay, so the main transportation system, it is the circulatory system, which includes the heart, blood vessels and the blood. Okay, so we were discussing about the first component of the circulatory system, that is about blood. Okay, so we know that blood is a red colored medium. It is a red colored medium which is going to be present in all the parts of the body, and it is going to transport. It is going to transport the various important things which are present in, which are to be utilized in the body of an organism. Okay, so this blood is a main medium of the transport. Okay, so this main medium of transport includes food, it includes energy, it includes various components like proteins, fats, anything it could be. So transportation requires a medium for transporting the things. So the medium in the body of the human beings is this blood. Now we'll study in more details about this, the components of blood, what are the things which are present in the blood which makes the color red, or why it is so that oxygen is being transported, the things are being transported by the blood system. Okay, so blood, the components of blood includes the two things, the liquid part and the solid part. So children, in the liquid part it includes plasma, which is going to help the blood to flow continuously. So the fluid medium because of which the blood is flowing is this plasma. Okay, so the next part, it constitutes 90%. In some books it might be written 70%. So it is, you could say that major part of the blood is contributed because of the plasma, because of this fluid part, that is a liquid part, that is known to be as the plasma. Okay, and the solid part includes the cells. It includes blood cells. It includes blood cells. So there are three types of blood cells. One is the red blood cell. The next is the white blood cell and the platelets. Now, I think we have studied about this types of the blood cells in the fluid connective tissue in your class 9 chapter. So it is just, you can recall the information from that part of your chapter that is about the fluid connective tissue in which we have studied about the blood. Okay. Now, this blood includes, I said, the liquid part of the blood, then solid part of the blood. Liquid part of the blood includes plasma, then solid part of the blood includes the various blood cells, which is the red blood cell, white blood cell and the platelets. So what do you mean by the red blood cell? Red blood cell is a cellular component which is red in color. Then white blood cell is the component which is colorless, or it is white in color. Then next is the platelet. It is very tiny irregular shaped cells which has a different functions. So children, these blood cells, they have very much different functions in the body. We'll just read one by one all these functions. So I'll first tell you about the plasma. Plasma is a liquid part. It is a liquid part of the body. It is a liquid part of the blood which includes the fluid matrix. It is it contains cells. It contains the red blood cells. It contains white blood cells. It contains platelets. All these are floating in it. Okay. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood. That is why it is said to be as plasma. Okay. It is not just a solid part. It is a liquid part. It is a fluid part of the blood. Plasma is colorless liquid. So what is the characteristic of plasma? It is colorless. It is colorless. Okay. Then, which consists mainly of water and the substances dissolved in it. So what is the major component which is making it fluid? It is the water. It is water which makes it fluid in nature. It contains water. Then plasma contains about 90% of water. Please make sure that what you are studying, that is the 90% of water is present in the plasma, which makes it a fluid, in its nature. Okay, the next part is plasma contains dissolved substances like proteins, digested food, common salt, and also includes the waste products like carbon dioxide, urea, and also includes hormone. So we can make a list. What are the components of this liquid part of plasma, liquid part or the plasma we could say. So the component which we have seen is the first component, it is the water. It includes proteins, it includes the waste material also even. Okay, it includes the digested food. It includes digested food. Okay, so these are the things which are present in the plasma. Even the hormones are also there. Fine. So this is what is the component of the plasma. It is colorless liquid which contains 90% of water, includes proteins, waste material, digested food and hormones in it. Okay, and this is a main medium of transport. It is a main medium which gives fluidity to the blood. Okay, it gives fluidity to the blood. If plasma is not present, then the blood would not be able to flow in the blood vessels. Fine. So this is the speciality of the plasma, because of which it is helping the blood to flow easily into the blood vessels. Okay, it includes it is going to have different. It has different types of the blood cells. So these blood cells are WBCs, the RBCs and the platelets. So the next part which we'll study is the blood cells. Red blood cell, white blood cell and the platelets. So what makes the RBCs look red? What makes WBCs to look white? And what about these platelets? So the first thing is the red blood cells. Red blood cells are red in color due to the presence of the red pigment called hemoglobin. Okay, so this is the fact because of which red blood cells are red in color, because it contains a protein called hemoglobin. It contains hemoglobin. Just like chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a pigment which is present in the plants. Similarly, hemoglobin is a pigment which is present in the animal's blood, which makes the blood color look red. Okay, so the hemoglobin is present inside it. Red blood cells or the RBCs are carriers of oxygen. So it has oxygen in it. It carries oxygen in it. Now why is it so that hemoglobin is going to carry oxygen? Because this protein is so special kind of protein which is going to attract the oxygen. It is going to bind the oxygen with it, and this is able to carry the oxygen molecule with this hemoglobin, attached to this hemoglobin molecule. If hemoglobin is not present, children, it is not able to take up oxygen. It is not going to gain oxygen. It is not going to attach with oxygen, and then oxygen will not be able to transport it. Okay. So for transportation of oxygen, hemoglobin is the part which is required for its transportation. It is actually the hemoglobin which is present in the RBCs which carries oxygen. Okay, hemoglobin performs very important functions of carrying oxygen from lungs to the body tissue, and also carbon dioxide from the body tissue to the lungs. So this hemoglobin is carrying both the things, oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. Oxygen from the lungs to the different parts of the body, from different parts of the body, and then again it takes up carbon dioxide from different parts of the body towards the lungs. Okay, so next is the red blood cells are circular in shape. Red blood cells do not have nucleus. So this is one of the important part to be understood, that this RBC they don't have nucleus. They are the only enucleated cells. Now what is the reason behind it that it does not contain the nucleus in it? So they are enucleated. Why these RBCs are enucleated, children? So if it is circular, it is biconcave in its nature. Okay, it is biconcave in its nature. You can understand what is the meaning of the word concave. Concave means the part which is having curved inside, So they are curved from both the sides, from the upper side as well as from the lower side. Okay, so what happens? They are tapering in the center, but they are having thick boundary, but they are tapering in the center. They are thin in the center. So this is what is known as the this is what is known as the biconcave structure. Now what is the need, what is the use of being enucleated and having this biconcave structure? So being enucleated, it gives space. It gives space for oxygen to be carried, because the main function of the blood of the RBC is to take up oxygen. So children, for oxygen, if major part of the cells is being accumulated, or it is being occupied by the cell, it is going to be occupied by the nucleus. So it is not going to have the space for carrying the oxygen, because RBC has to carry oxygen. That is why it requires space. So for giving maximum space to be occupied by the oxygen inside the RBC, they are enucleated, and that is why they are biconcave in its nature. Fine. Now the RBC cells are circular in shape, they are enucleated. RBCs are made, red blood cells have to be made quickly, because they do not live for a longer time. The lifespan is about 120 days. Each red blood cells are living about 4 months. One of the reasons of the short lifespan of the RBCs is that they don't have nucleus. Yes, because all the major things, the important nutrients is being present inside the nucleus. Nucleus is the brain of the cell, as you all know. It is going to coordinate, it is going to help all the cell organelles to function, to perform its function properly. Now, if nucleus is not present, then how can it live long? Isn't it? If brain is not there, how can the body work? Similarly, plants, these cells, if they don't have nucleus in them, so it becomes very difficult for a cell to survive after 4 months. So maximum lifespan of each and every RBC is about 120 days. Okay, see, this is the main reason. Okay, it has been estimated that about 3 million RBCs of the human body die every day, but 4 times that number are made in our bone marrow every day. So if we donate our blood to save the life of a person, then the loss of the blood from the body can be made up very quickly within a day. This is because red blood cells are very fast. Its manufacture is very fast in our bone marrow. And where is this bone marrow present? Bone marrow is an important part of your long shaft of the bones, the bone includes your femur, that is your thigh bone, or the humerus, which includes your hand bone. Okay, so arm, even the upper part of the arm is known as the humerus. So humerus is a long bone. Mainly the thigh bone, that is the femur, is the main place where the RBCs are being synthesized, they are being produced. So it is said that if you are going to donate the blood, that blood is going to be made in the body very quickly. Okay, so this is what is about the structure of RBC, that is the red blood cells. It includes the structure which is biconcave in its nature, which is enucleated, and this enucleated is because it has to carry the oxygen in it and also contains hemoglobin. Now I move on to the second part, that is white blood cells. So white blood cells are, again, I'll just tell you first about the major, some more types of WBCs are present. So the classification is a little bit larger. So here white blood cells, they are of 2 types. Okay, I'll just draw it. They are of 2 types. First is the granulocytes. And the second one is agranulocytes. Now granulocytes includes 3 types: eosinophil, basophil, and the neutrophil. Okay, agranulocytes includes two, monocyte and lymphocyte. Okay, so these are the classification. Even this classification was being told by me in class 9th also. So I'll just draw it once again. So if I have to draw this WBC, the classification of WBC includes granulocytes, and agranulocytes. Granulocytes includes three types of cells: eosinophil, basophil, and the neutrophil. Okay. Similarly, agranulocytes includes the two types. One is the lymphocyte. They are the monocyte and the lymphocyte. Lymphocyte includes two parts: large lymphocyte and the small lymphocyte. Okay, so this is what is about the classification of WBC. So the classification of WBC includes granulocytes and agranulocytes. Now what are these granulocytes and agranulocytes? See, when you see the structure of RBCs and the WBCs inside the microscope, you will be able to find out the type of the structure which they possess. So when we look at the structure of the granulocytes, WBCs, then it shows you the clear concept that the small granules, small structures, small circles, the particles are present inside the granulocytes. Okay, so these are sometimes microscopic particles which is going to have they have different functions. Okay. So granulocytes include granules. See children, if you can see nowadays what happens, there are certain products in the market which is having, for example, your face wash, you're having the toothpaste, which includes small types of particles which are present inside the toothpaste and the face washes right now. Okay, so these are the granules. They're very similar to that, but here we are talking about the WBCs and the RBCs. So the granules are they are microscopic. We are not able to see, but under the microscope we are able to see these granules. Now if the WBCs, they will include granules. They include granules in it, so they are known to be as granulocytes. And those RBCs which will not include any granule, they are known as the agranulocytes. Okay, so they have nucleus, but with this nucleus they have small granules present in the cells. Okay, so present in the WBCs. So now children, please understand that these granulocytes are of three types: eosinophil, basophil and neutrophil. So what are these three types? So the granulocytes, if these grains are of different colors, now based upon the pH, based upon the color of the granules which they are going to be, or the stains which we are going to stain, or which we are going to use to color these cells, the names are there. So if the WBC is going to be colored with acidic dye, it is known as eosinophil. If it is being colored with the basic dye, if it reacts with the basic dye, it is known to be as the basophil. And if it is going to react with both the colors, then it is said to be as the neutrophils. Okay, so the three types of the granulocytes are there. Now you can see there are some more structures in their nucleus. So eosinophil, they are having the two-lobed nucleus. Basophil has they have a circular or some different shape of nucleus. The neutrophil have 2 to 7 lobes of nucleus. They have 2, 3 lobes of nucleus, maximum 5 lobes. Here 7 lobes are there. Okay, so lobed nucleus is present. So this is what is about the neutrophil and basophil and eosinophil. Next, monocyte is the largest cell in your body. It includes the circular nucleus. Large and the monocytes are the largest cell of the body, and they have the circular nucleus. Then monocytes, then large and the small lymphocytes, they are also circular in shape. They have kidney shaped nucleus sometimes. Okay, so this monocyte has kidney shaped nucleus, but this is not, this contains the biggest nucleus. This cell is the biggest one. So it contains the different cell. The types of the nucleus is going to be kidney shaped. Okay, in all the 3. Okay, then next, what is the function of each of them? So I'll just tell what is given there in your book. See, white blood cells are also known to be as lymphocytes. They are also known as leukocytes. Okay, this RBCs are known as, they are said to be as erythrocytes. Please remember the other names also. Erythrocyte. This is known as leukocyte. Okay, these are known as leukocytes. And sometimes it is known as leukoblast, sometimes it is known as lymphocytes. Okay, but lymphocytes are mainly these, large and the small lymphocytes. Okay, then white blood cells fight infection, protects us from diseases. This is because white blood cells helps us to fight infections and the germs, other foreign bodies which cause the diseases. Some white blood cells can eat up the germs like bacteria, they can cause, which causes disease. In other words, white blood cells make the chemicals which is known as antibodies to fight against the infections. Okay, so in other words, white blood cells manufacture antibodies and which are responsible for providing us immunity in our body, due to which we are protected from the diseases as well as from the infection. In fact, white blood cells are called the soldiers of our body. Now, if you have to write down a note that why RBCs, why the WBCs, why these WBCs, that is white blood cells, are said to be as the soldiers of our body, we can easily say, because these white blood cells, they are going to protect the body against infection, protect the body against the different types of the germs, attack of the germs like bacteria. Some of the viruses are also even killed by our immune system. They are very strong. But if the disease, if the virus or the bacteria or the microorganisms are, they are more stronger than our immune system, then we get diseased or we get sick. Okay, we get ill. Because our body produces, the WBCs produce one chemical known as the antibodies. So these antibodies are going to protect us from the infections, against the infections, you can say. So this is because they protect the body from the attack of disease causing germs, which is said to be as pathogens, and other harmful foreign materials. White blood cells, either they are spherical in shape or they are irregular in shape. All white blood cells have the nucleus. Through the shape of the nucleus, though the shape of the nucleus is different for the different white blood cells, white blood cells are much smaller in the number than the red blood cells. Yes, so red blood cells are larger in number, as you know that these red blood cells are responsible for the flow of the oxygen in the body, and these have to protect the body from infection. That is why its number is smaller, but they have to do a lot of work. And the last cell which we have to study was the platelets. After WBC, we have to study about the platelets. So what are these platelets? Platelets are those irregular shaped cells which is going to help the blood to coagulate. It helps in blood coagulation. Okay, so after WBC, we have one more type of the cell which we have to study is the platelets. Okay, so what are these platelets? They are irregular, smaller shape. These were small cells, irregular shaped cells. Helps in blood coagulation. They help in blood coagulation. Okay. Now what is this blood coagulation, children? Blood coagulation is a process when we get hurt, when we get a cut somewhere and the blood is oozing out. So after some time you see that the blood stops flowing. So why this is happening? This happens because of the presence of the platelets in our body. So because platelets are going to help the blood to stop flowing. How this is being done? This is being done because of certain proteins which are present. So platelets are the tiny fragments of the special cells formed by the bone marrow. The platelets do not have nucleus. The platelets help in the coagulation of the blood or the clotting of the blood. This is also known as clotting of blood. They help in blood clotting or in a cut or a wound. For example, when we have a cut or a wound starts bleeding, then the platelets help a clot of the blood which is semi-solid in nature, which is due to the fact because of which the bleeding stops. Okay. The blood cells are made in bone marrow, and that is why they are also known to be as the stem cells. Okay. Now blood is going to perform various functions. They carry oxygen, they carry carbon dioxide, they have digested food, they have hormones. Then they help in the carrying the waste material away from our body. It protects us from the diseases. So whatever functions we have to study, we can study the functions of the WBC, of the RBC, of the platelets. If we are going to combine the functions of all these three, we can get the function of the blood. Okay, so this is what is about the transportation system. We have completed the first part. Now in the next part I'll be starting about the next structure, the next organ of your of this blood transportation system. Then after that we'll be studying about the structure of heart. Okay, so this was all about today's video, children. I'll meet you all in the next video with the next topic to be discussed. So that's all for today.